think we're all excited to be here today. It's a big weekend for a lot of the 31 teams. It's a draft weekend. Before we start off, I think it's important that I know you guys have a lot of questions, and ladies have a lot of questions about players on our current roster. We aren't going to talk about specific players, i.e. Mark Stone, Cody Ceci, Chris Weidman, Erik Karlsson. We're not going to discuss any specific details or strategies. We don't want to tip our hand to any teams of what our plans are moving forward. Fire away.
Why trade Mike Hoffman?
Trading Mike Hoffman was something that we needed to do. We talk about our dressing room was broken. We have to have a dressing room that wants to win together. Key components for us moving forward are character, leadership, accountability, and we're very happy with the return that we got on Mike Hoffman. We feel Michael Bottker is a good player. He had a great second half. He was San Jose's 5th leading scorer in their 2 rounds in the playoffs. We know with the culture that we're aiming to get that he's going to fit in that dressing room. I did talk to one player, not about his hockey abilities, but about him as a person who played with him, Matt Duchesne. And Matt's words to us were, he's a great guy, he's perfect for our room and the culture that we're trying to build.
Pierre, you just mentioned a couple of very pointed things, and in your statement, you mentioned the character and all that. That's as damning an indictment as I think I've ever seen of a player, in terms of the inference that you're making about Mike Hoffman. Did it go beyond the sort of situation with the Karlssons and as far as his character was concerned?
I'm not sure I get the question.
Well, it's just when you put out the release, you talked about character and integrity and all these other things, and it seemed like it was a pretty damning indictment of Mike Hoffman, and I'm wondering if it went beyond the whole sort of situation with the Karlssons and was a character issue, in the room.
No, in our room, no rooms in the NHL are perfect. I think we've all been around for a long time, and we understand that no room, not those 23 guys, at times they're like brothers. They get on each other's nerves, but this was not an indictment on Mike Hoffman. This was just the direction that we needed to go.
When did you know about that situation between Karlsson and Hoffman?
We heard a rumor at the end of the season. If we acted on every rumor we hear, we can do our job in management as a general manager. No player ever came to us about these things. At the start of every year, you guys know, we address the team. We address the team saying, the general manager, our management group, we have an open door policy about anything personal, professional. The only thing we tell our players, don't come and see us about ice time or roll. That's a coach's job. I think when we address the players this year at the start of the year, we're going to make sure that situations like this, they can definitely come to us. I think it's important. I think in all this, the victim is Melinda Karlsson. And if we could do something about it, we wish that this situation could have been prevented.
So you don't buy the denial by Mike Hoffman?
I don't think I said that, Mark. All I said is that all that we say here, the Ottawa Senators, is Melinda Karlsson is a victim, and we want to support her. Whoever is behind this should be brought to justice, and there's a non-legal investigation.
Can you address the Randy Lee situation?
Yes. We felt we made the right decision with Randy Lee. In 23 years with the organization, there's never been an incident recorded. It's a non-legal process. I think on July 6th, Randy will have his due process, and from there we will re-evaluate.
Why did it take 2 weeks to suspend him, Pierre? What changed in that time?
I think we as an organization had to do our due process But at the same time, as I just said, there has never been one incident recorded against Randy Lee in 23 years. And I think we should put that on the record. We put in our statement, and before people jump to conclusions, make sure that we talk about the facts, because it is a legal proceeding.
Pierre, how is Randy dealing with all of this?
Our last conversation with Randy was the day that we suspended him, and Randy cares a lot about this organization from the conversation, and he knows after July 6th this will be reevaluated.
Pierre, how much has the Carlson situation with Mike Hoffman and the Randy Lee situation, how much has that made your job as GM difficult, and how much of this time is trying to kind of repair the image or the team or whatever is going on around this team? Do you consider that kind of part of your responsibility now in trading Mike and kind of getting things back on the right track?
Well, I think when you're at the head of hockey operations, everything falls on your shoulders. You're not ever given a handbook how to be a GM. A lot of things were curves that we didn't expect, that we weren't aware of. All I can tell you, and I can tell our fans, is we're going to be greatly improved next year. We're really looking forward to this draft. We got 2 players that we know are going to be good players, possibility for playing for us next year. I just left a meeting room with our scouts, and I don't think in my over 20 years in the NHL that I've been this excited about having 2 picks. The way we discussed our top 30, I'm really happy for this organization, the direction we're going.
Are you definitely keeping the 4th overall pick here in regard to the Colorado decision?
Most likely, again, we will keep the pick and select 4.
It sounds like you say we'll be better next season. You want to improve next season. I know you don't want to talk about specific players, but there's a lot of important players whose names have been out there. Mm-hmm. Is this not a rebuild? This is you're wanting to be more competitive next year. You're not tearing it down for futures and such. That's not the mindset.
Ryan, people like to brand things. People want to say certain specifics. When it comes to us, whatever direction we are going, we need core players to be part of that. Not going to go into specifics, but at the same time, you can't just put a bunch of young kids on a team. You need core players. We know we have core players that want to stay and be in Ottawa for a long time.
Do you think trading Hoffman gives you a better chance to keep Erik Karlsson?
I already addressed that at the top, Mark.
You said when you heard the rumor of Karlsson and Hoffman at the end of the year, I don't think, did you go and look into it? You said you reacted on every rumor would be all day, but did you go to Erik and say, I've heard this, what's going on?
It was at the end of the season. Both players were gone. Probably if we had anything to learn from this, probably should have got both guys on the phone, but it was a rumor.
Pierre, were you in any way instructed not to trade Hoffman in the division?
You can talk to every GM in our division. They all got calls about Mike Hoffman.
How much action are you getting on your players? So, like, are you having a lot of trade discussions here?
I think we addressed that at the top, Bruce. But though I know.
Any names.
I do know that you like trade rumors, Bruce. We all know that. There are 30 of my counterparts that are always worried that you find out more than I do first. So,
I guess if there's more talk than normal, even going into last year, is there just more talk on any roster player? I'm not even specific.
Draft weekend is a very exciting weekend for 31 GMs because we get to do hockey. And that's the fun part about being here this weekend. As I don't know if you guys got a chance to watch these playoffs. We weren't in it, but I can tell you one thing. They're the best playoffs I can remember seeing. I had a lot of tired mornings where I ended up watching a lot of West Coast games. But this weekend's all about hockey, and that's what I think makes 31 of us GMs very happy to be here.
Pierre, has your game plan changed at all? I mean, you said, you stated that, without naming a specific player, you said that you weren't going to offer that specific player a contract on July 1st. Are you now open to discussions, possibilities, options, or are you sticking with your original game plan?
I think that's a great question. That's a great question, Don. I think our focus this weekend is about the draft. adding these 2 players to our group. And that's what our sole focus is on this weekend.
Pierre, how much have you changed, not only as a general manager, but as a person, where 13 months ago, you were an overtime goal away from being in the final, and now you've had a few fires to address in the subsequent months?
I think through adversity, we find people's true character. We find out who wants to be with you in a war and tough times. It's great when people want to be around you when you're a goal away from getting to the Stanley Cup final. But we really find out about people's true values and true character and real integrity when it's difficult situations. And all I can say is we at the Ottawa Senators, we have great people.
Do you have to somehow get the fans back in your corner, and how do you do that? Because there's been a lot of benefit.
Watch us this weekend. I think we're going to add 2 pretty good players. I think we got a chance at the guy that we're going to take it for. We'll have a chance to play for our team next year. We're not going to take the best player who could play for us next year. We're going to take the best player that can help us, whether it's 2-3 years down the road. And we know when you pick high in the draft, those players have a better chance of having a quicker impact right away.
When you say the dressing, sorry, when
The
you say
post media is asking questions at the same
When you say
time.
the dressing room is broken, how do you repair that?
How do we repair that?
How do you repair it?
We address it. And we're going to start as soon as training camp starts. It's disappointing that not one player came to us this year. And I can't blame them. We can't blame them. Maybe we should have been more clear about our open door policy. You guys are well aware. I've spoken to the team 3 times in 2 years, at the start of every year, and we had a meeting, I think we spoke to the players after January 16th this year. And they were all told, you are always welcome to see our management group. Any of you guys, whether it's a personal or professional issue, you're always welcome to come and see us. Maybe we're going to have to make sure that they really understand that. We're there for them. We care about our players. We want to have success as a group, not as a group of individuals, but as a group, as a team.
Are you open for business, like the 4th pick? Will you listen for offers to go back down?
I know we can't get one. But the one thing is, we've listened, we've talked. Great conversation in the elevator today with someone here who we can move back. We're always listening. But we're going to do what's best for the Ottawa Senators.
Were you surprised to see Mike get flipped in another trade just 2 hours after you dealt him?
No.
No?
No.
Because Dale said that you guys spoke, but
Yep.
you had...
We spoke in our division,
Yeah.
amongst the 6 other general managers too. We spoke in our division. No, just because of the history between Mike Hoffman and Peter DeBoer, pretty good idea that something was going on.
Did you feel,
I know I'm only second-year GM, but we have an idea what goes on in the league.
did you feel pressure to move Mike as quickly as you did? Rather than knowing you had to trade him at some point, but did you feel pressure to do that as quickly as possible, given the situation with and Eric?
I think we acted accordingly. We felt that our dressing room was a very important sanctuary, and we made the proper course of action.
You said you were happy with Bodker and that you're happy with the trade you made in that moment.
Very happy, actually.
Very happy. If you reference that back to maybe discussions you had in the past on Hoffman, was there a net result to all of this in terms of the value you got back? Everything that surrounded this, was the deal not the same that it might have been had you traded him before all of it?
We don't live in a world of pretend and what could have happened. That's not the way we operate. We operate in the present. We try to make our team better for the future, and we're very happy about this trade.
Pierre, how tough is it to try and gauge your game plan regarding next year, the team you'll have on the ice, not knowing what will happen with your franchise player, and balance with the decision of Colorado and the pick in 18 or 19? In other words, if there's a certain franchise player not around and you don't have the first round pick, no, but I mean, this is all coming to a head right now. So how tough is that to...
We have a good game plan. We're very confident that we're going to be a vastly improved hockey team next year. And we look forward to the season starting with the addition of hopefully that fourth pick in the lineup. But we're excited. We finished in 30th place last year. There is great room for improvement. I think having a Matt Duchesne from the start of the season, I think that'll be something very good. So we're really excited in the direction we're going as a team.
Did you have an idea where you're going to replace the offense that you're losing with Hoffman? I know you're high on Bodker, but he doesn't, I don't think, score the way Hoffman does. Do you see somebody within the organization, or are you maybe thinking free agency?
Don't want to tip our hand too much, but we have a good plan in place. We feel comfortable that we'll be able to produce enough goals to definitely challenge for a playoff spot. At the same time, in our meetings with Guy at the end of the year, we're going to change in how we do some things, how we play, and we're confident with that or those changes that we're going to be a really good hockey team that will score more goals.
Just following up on Don's comment, what would your message, Pierre, be to free agents that you can start talking to on Sunday?
Come to Ottawa. We're going to be a good team. We were really close a year ago. We had a bump in the road. We have good players. You can be part of this group that can be part of a good team and build towards a great future in Ottawa.
With that 4 pick, does it help kind of knowing what Buffalo and Carolina are going to do at 1, 2, to have kind of zero in on what your plan is at 4?
Well, we all know what 1's going to do. Pretty good idea. If you could tell me what 2 and 3 are going to do, I'd really appreciate it. We can go and have a little conversation after.
Don's been pretty open about number 2. But.
Okay. Well, maybe you know more than we do. You know what? We went through scenarios through the morning. It was, again, not that I mean to repeat, it was one of the best meetings I've had with scouts in 20 years, talking about what we're going to do, what we plan on doing it for, what possibilities are at 22, how these players will impact our organization moving forward. So we're just excited. And it's a new step. You know, we suffered this year. There's no doubt we suffered as a team, with the number of losses. But the one good thing is we know we're getting a really good player here.
What possibilities are you looking at with that pick? It's certainly number 4. How many names are kind of on your radar screen?
Well, if it's 4, Bruce, it would be 4 names. Does that make sense to you? Because at the same time, we've done a lot of scouting. I myself, with my scouting background, have done a lot of scouting, and there's probably 10 to 12 names that we really like. That's probably what you were getting at. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
This isn't asking about tipping your hand. I'm not asking you to tip your hand or anything like that. But if you had, given all the talk there's been about the franchise player, I think that Pierre referred to him as, have you had a conversation with him to let him know, what's in play, what's going on, so nothing surprises him?
I'm not going to talk about my private conversations with any players. I think that's between the player and myself.
En français, pourrais-tu revenir? Expliquer pourquoi c'est important.
2, 3, or 4 more in French, and then we'll wrap up.
Oui, vas-y, Marc, excuse-moi.
Pourquoi c'est important d'échanger avec Mike Hoffman?
Non, pour nous, pour notre culture, l'intégrité de la Chambre, c'était important de faire ce changement-là. Aussi, le retour qu'on a eu, on est très satisfait de notre retour. On pense que Michael Bodker est quelqu'un qui a eu des bonnes séries, qui a une bonne deuxième moitié de saison. La même âge que Mike Hoffman. On voulait un joueur dans l'échange et on pense qu'on a eu un bon retour, en plus du prospect qu'on a eu.
Pierre, tu l'as dit à la fin de la saison, tu n'étais pas content de ton équipe, tu n'étais pas content de ton coach. Guy Boucher va revenir.
Oui.
Est-ce que Guy Boucher revient parce que les Sénateurs, c'est le seul coach qui peut se payer? Est-ce que tu as d'autres coachs qui sont disponibles sur le marché qui coûtent plus cher?
Aucunement. 100% confiance en Guy Boucher, 100% confiance qu'il est notre coach, 100% confiance qu'il peut être le gars qui peut nous ramener aux séries. Aucun doute là-dessus.
Parce que l'absence de Randy Lee, ça fait le short-staff un peu, ça se repêchage-ci?
Non, il y a beaucoup de gens auprès de notre organisation qui ont pris plus de tâches. 2 personnes comme Tim Patterson et Sean McCauley qui font beaucoup plus de travail depuis le départ de Randy Lee et qui nous aident énormément dans nos tâches hebdomadaires.
Ça a été une saison difficile autant sur la patinoire qu'à l'extérieur. Comment un directeur général se sent là-dedans? Parce qu'on parle des joueurs, on parle pas de toi. Tu gères ça comment, tout ça, cette saison?
Un bon groupe d'amis, un bon support à la maison, bonne blonde, bon enfant, puis pas beaucoup de golf cette année encore, mais on espère au mois d'août quelque temps qu'on peut, mais on se débrouille bien. Merci de demander.
C'est-tu un peu... L'année passée, à la même date, tu étais à Las Vegas pour être en liste pour le début de l'année, puis là, un an plus tard, tu te retrouves un peu dans une situation complètement inverse. C'était difficile à grasper,
Non. Marc, ça fait partie du travail. Dans ce métier ici, je pense qu'on parle à 31 gérants dans la Ligue ou les 30 autres gérants, on se fait toujours lancer des courbes, puis c'est à nous de faire le mieux avec n'importe quelle situation qu'on a. Puis nous, Ottawa, on a un bon groupe alentour de nous. Quoi qu'on que la situation, on sait qu'on va faire de notre mieux.
Tantôt, Pierre, tu parlais de la politique de la porte ouverte, que les joueurs auraient peut-être dû aller vous voir, vous auriez peut-être dû leur mentionner qu'ils pouvaient aller vous voir.
Pardon. Ils sont fait dire qu'ils pouvaient venir nous voir. Donc,
est-ce que les dirigeants prennent un petit peu une partie du blanc dans cette histoire-là, ou c'est vraiment une histoire qui est arrivée, qui n'avait rien à faire?
je suis pas sûr comment répondre à ta question. Et j'aimerais ça répondre le mieux possible, mais qui qu'on blâme? On blâme-tu l'organisation? On blâme-tu les joueurs? Je pense que tout le monde, on doit être mieux. C'est la seule affaire que je peux te dire sans t'en dire plus.
Pierre, tu es un gars d'Ottawa, tu as vu les sénateurs arriver, tu n'as pas travaillé toujours pour eux autres. Donc, quand tu regardes l'histoire de cette équipe-là, on est-tu au point le plus bas de toutes les épreuves qu'on a traversées avec les sénateurs d'Ottawa au fil des ans?
Non. Non, aucunement. Je pense que tu étais à Ottawa, puis tu as couvert l'équipe plus longtemps que moi, tu étais associé avec l'équipe. Je pense qu'il y a eu des points pas mal bas dans cette organisation ici.
Pierre, juste pour le détail.
Dernière question.
Sur les détails de...
Tu parles en français?
Oui, je le sais. Habituel là-dedans aussi, si tu veux, un peu russe, mais...
oui, Pierre.
Pour confirmer les détails, tu dois annoncer à la Ligue lorsque c'est votre tour vendredi soir que vous gardez le choix.
Non. Juste si on fait un transfert de choix, là, on doit... d'après la manière que Joe et nous, on a fait l'échange, il est totalement au courant que si c'est notre choix, là, au quatrième choix, je peux marcher à la table de Joe et dire c'est votre choix. Puis si je ne marche pas, donc c'est notre choix. Et automatiquement, ils ont notre premier choix l'année prochaine.
Excellent.
Oui, bonne question, Marc. Merci de parler de Delville. Oui, le processus, j'ai quelques entrevues à faire en fin de semaine. On espère, vers le 1er juillet, qu'on ait notre candidat en place, ou qu'on ait un coach en place, pardon.
C'est toi qui fais ça.
Oui, c'est tout moi qui fais ça.
Merci, Pierre.
Merci beaucoup.